Well, we got Daniel Cece of, forgive me if I say this wrong, Krosis is how you pronounce it, right?
Krosis, yep.
Perfect,
Yep.
perfect. Well, looks like we're interviewing you today. Let's get to that first question. And
Alrighty.
last I heard, you were sick and trying to learn your parts um, for your album, and I was wondering if you were feeling better now and how the parts are coming along, if you've gotten them to perfection or not.
Yes. Yeah, I was sick for a few days. Very untimely, especially given that we're doing a lot of recording and doing a lot of perfecting and a lot of album related stuff. So I really
Yeah.
had to kind of be focused on that as opposed to trying to you know focus on just being able to walk straight and not be dizzy. So obviously playing drums when you're sick sucks. But I still just kind of push through without pushing myself too much. And yes, I am doing better now. Kicked the sickness, and I've spent a lot of my time learning, more so than anything, learning the singles that we're going to be releasing first, which
Okay.
the dates, still not allowed to say the dates yet, but still kind of working on perfecting the rest of the album. But mostly right now, my focus is really just on the singles that we're going to be releasing first, whenever we do release those, which will be relatively soon. It's not going to be too much more of a wait. But that's kind of my main focus right now with learning, perfecting the parts, I guess.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. It's awesome to see you progressing and constantly working at your craft so you're not getting rusty and don't look bad on stage and whatnot and recording.
Yeah, that's always a challenge because I mean I do work full time, two jobs, and luckily working in Guitar Center, it forces me to play drums every shift, like for hours at a time. So I'm always getting in practice. But as far as keeping the tech debt side of me nice and clean is always a challenge because stuff's never easy, man.
Oh yeah, I hear you. So within the first 2 minutes, basically, so you're learning your new parts. That means there's new songs. So that probably means there's a new album. Are there going to be a couple more music videos with this album, or are you just going to release it as is?
Yeah, so we actually are filming two music videos tomorrow. Not allowed to say who is shooting them because that part is a surprise.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually going to be heading up to Maryland tomorrow with me and the rest of the boys to shoot with that little special someone whose name I cannot wait to announce, as he is um, a good friend and also an awesome musician, pretty well known guy, and he's a great overall producer. And those two music videos will be for the first two singles, and then from there we'll probably do like a lyric video or something. Um, I'm really good friends with Scott Rudd, so maybe work out with something with him or kind of see what Unique Leader wants to do. But yeah, we definitely are going to be working on a couple awesome music videos, really different. Hopefully, a lot more, I guess, theatrical than our previous ones. Which we love those music videos, but we're ready to really start. Getting crazy with the production and some of the ideas and storyline behind stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be Saturday and Sunday, and then we're kind of just finishing up everything with the album on the music side as well.
All right. Well, yeah, that kind of answered my next one. I was gonna ask how complete is the upcoming album and how are you planning on releasing it? It seems like probably you are already starting a album release tour. From the best of my knowledge, I kind of just added some stuff together that you were posting on Facebook. Work
Yeah,
on tour, work on album, work on tour. So I'm assuming
yeah,
that you're gonna
it's
have that album release tour coming up.
yep, it's hard to balance the teaser and like not releasing too much kind of balance, like to and I struggle with that, and I usually err on the side of probably saying a little bit too much, but um, that's okay. Yeah, we so the album is kind of low key actually done. All the tracking is complete. We are sending it off to be mastered by another very prominent figure in the North Carolina area, who
Nice.
has done some very awesome albums from bands such as Between the Buried and Me and the Contortionists. So all my North Carolina peeps will probably know who I'm talking about. He's basically world renowned. And also a friend of mine and friend of ours as well, who's going to be mastering the album. Um, so we're also stepping up our production game as well. Our producer and also our guitar player Brandon is phenomenal at everything he does, especially with producing our album. But we also kind of wanted an outside ear this time, and somebody who isn't in the band to hear it, kind of like a fresh ear to really bounce off of, and then somebody who's also a professional as much as the guy we're sending it to. That part's also kind of a surprise too, because like I said, a lot of this is going to be released whether we actually release the first single. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, the album is done. There is a tour coming up. I'm actually going to be opening for a band who I have listened to for a long time and am a big fan of. We're all super excited. Um, and it's going to be a full U.S. tour. We're going to be hitting a bunch of different cities. So definitely cannot wait to announce that. I'm actually probably more excited to announce that than even the first single or anything. Like,
Nice.
I have been waiting. I have this tour flyer in my gallery right now. I'm just looking at it every day. I'm so pumped. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a tour, not for the album release, but we will be playing a couple of the new singles on this tour. So definitely be playing that. Going to be playing Duplicity and you know keeping some of the old, some of the new. We're getting our set list together. So yeah, all those things are definitely coming up, and I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. So the next question I've got for you, Krosis is signed to Unique Leader Records. To Unique Leader Records benefited you and your band, and what have they done that you will pretty much always thank them for?
Well, they were the first label to take a chance on us. So as a up and coming band, right, or kind of like an indie level band, it is huge whenever a label, especially a label of that size, takes
Yeah.
an interest in you. So that was just one of the greatest days of my life, still to this day, with being told by our manager Alex that they sent over a contract. And from that day forward, they've just been a great partner to have. They have an amazing network on the music side as well as the social side. Um, and it was such an honor to be able to work with the late great Eric Lindmark, rest his soul,
Hmm.
a legend in the death metal industry, and it was his decision to actually pick us up, and we are eternally grateful to have worked with him. And um, now the new CEO Jamie's taken over, and he has also been super supportive and basically decided to extend our contract for another album, which will be the one that we'll be releasing next. And
Awesome.
they have just been amazing. I mean, just from the financial side, which is important for a band. I mean, as you can imagine, doing all these videos and stepping up, production and everything is very costly. And they offer to help with that. They offer to help with a lot of tours, a lot of booking. They have Sony distribution, so like we get in stores like Barnes and Noble, Target, Best Buy, Walmart, on like a lot of these online stores. You can buy our album and our vinyls on there. So Sony distribution is awesome to have with them, and just overall, like they've just been like friendlies, just friendly and helpful to us. Not like just like a rigid business partnership. They're always an email away. You know what I mean? And even the
Yeah.
CEO like was just like, oh, just hit them up like like an old friend kind of thing. Like, I love that mentality, and they're really just all about the metal and all about the music, and always looking for unique bands. So it was such an honor that they considered us worthy of being on the same label as you know bands that I mean, I like Rings of Saturn and Fallujah, like some of my favorite bands. I have a Fallujah hat, and now, you know, we're on the same label as, I mean, they put out The Flesh Prevails and Harvest Wounds through that label, two some of my favorite tech death albums. So it's been amazing, and going forward, especially with this new release, I'm really excited to see how the reception is going to be. And I mean, we've gotten way more exposure than we would have gotten without them. So super thankful to be able to operate under their name because I've been a big fan of a lot of their bands for years now.
Well, that's good to hear. You got something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and you said you had to get rushing a little bit, so I'm gonna skip a couple of these questions and just get to the longest one. I saw not too long ago that you were trying to formulate your own opinions on new music. Do you mind giving me three opinions that you formed recently?
Oh boy. New music.
Challenging you a little
All
bit.
right. Yeah, I'll try to keep the elitism out because I do tend to do that.
Well,
Um,
an opinion doesn't mean elitism.
well, no, but I feel like mine comes across in a way where it's abrasive, and that's just the way I've always been. I don't mean to be that way, but it's just, um, I start talking and then I'm just like, listen to me. Yeah. But no, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it is subjective. Listen to what you want. I really think ultimately that's the most important thing is um, to, listen to what you enjoy. Even me being a quote unquote music elitist, I still throw on, Post Malone and Kendrick Lamar sometimes. You know what I mean? And like just
Yeah.
totally things that are like outside of what you'd expect me to listen to. And I mean, I was jamming "Sleeping with Sirens" the other day, like unshamed, like no shame at all. Like
It's funny that you just brought up both of
so,
those names because Post Malone and Sleeping with Sirens just released two new things, and Post Malone
yeah,
just did
and
something with Ozzy.
yeah, and it's like that's super cool. Like you know what I mean? I mean, I love the super progressive, technical, music theory heavy things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if something sounds good, it sounds good. I mean, I could sit all day and go, well, there's a bunch of ghostwriters and these people are just figureheads and it's all a big
Yeah.
commodity. You know what I mean? And I could do that, and I have done that, and I've written articles about that. That one of them my college even used for a class, so that was kind of validating. But um, at the end of the day, really, first opinion is just that everybody has quote unquote guilty pleasure, bands or artists, and even, a lot of the tech death or very progressive artists that I know even still listen to, like, I don't want to say gimmicky music because then that starts to sound a little arrogant, but like,
Yeah.
they start to listen to just the popular, not as underground, just a little bit more feel good type music. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think people should listen to what they like. Second opinion, I guess, kind of to contrast that as kind of a contrast is I do think that a lot of the new pop music is not what it used to be. I think a lot of it is commodified. I do think a lot of these people are figureheads that the top 10 industry kind of puts out to try to sell more records and to it's almost like a pop
Yeah.
culture game rather than a musicality game. And that part bothers me as a musician because I spend so much time and me and my guys spend so much time um, writing music and studying, and I'm always trying to better myself and be the best musician I can be. And then meanwhile, there's somebody who got in the studio with a producer and put together a generic beat with a generic chord progression, and it's got hundreds of millions of views with a bunch of vapid lyrics, and just for
Yeah.
me as that's why people are like, oh, elitist, and I'm like, well, no, I'm analyzing the musicality behind it. If it's catchy and good, listen to it. I don't care. Do what you want. Like it's a free. I'm not going to harp on you. I mean, if we're going to discuss music and bands, like, you know, I I might have an opinion, but
I think
that's really
the
my biggest
main
issue.
thing between an opinion, the main thing that differentiates an opinion from being an elitist is telling somebody that they're wrong for their opinion. That makes you an
Right.
elitist.
And I do, one of my unpopular opinions is that I guess this is my third one that is kind of related to both. A lot of people have disagreed with this throughout college, throughout, I mean, I've made posts in the past where people are like, what are you talking about? But I have said that I do think music quality on some level is objectively analyzable. I do think that there is a way from a music theory standpoint to say, no, this song is more original, it's better put together, it's more difficult to play, it's more, it's the ingenuity level is higher, the song structure, like, from a theory standpoint, right? Almost like a scientific standpoint to go, no, this song is better because of this, this, and this. A lot of people are like, no, music's 100% subjective. That's just an opinion I have, is that I think you can analyze song quality based on certain factors. If you know what you're talking about, you can back it up with data. So that's really the only, and I think that's probably my most elitist view. So there we go. We can calm down now.
Calm down, Peanut
You know,
Gallery. We can already
I
hear all
know.
of you
I know.
yelling.
I can. Oh, I already know a few people that are going to hear this and be like, "Whoa, this guy." That's just something, and that's just because I've spent so many years studying music theory and so many years, really working on this and studying the ins and outs and the science part rather than just the art part.
Yeah,
The art part's subjective. I think the science, the science behind the music, I think is studyable, and I think that there is a higher quality versus a lower quality. I mean, if you take like Animals as Leaders versus, you know, Lil Xan, I mean, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, it's just to me and to me, it's just obvious. But I think it's also a way that if somebody who's well versed in music theory could probably explain why there's more talent behind Animals as Leaders than Lil Xan. So, that's really just kind of where I'm at. At the end of the day, I love seeing all the new music that's being created. I think there's a lot of amazing bands. I'm seeing new stuff released every single day, and that makes me happy. And at the end of the day, as long as people are making and writing what they enjoy, it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. Like, obviously, my band survives on fans and people supporting us, but we write what we want to play. We write what we want to hear. We're not going to cave to what anyone tells us to write. And that's why
exactly.
we try to always stay organic. And I think as long as you remain organic in your writing and in your musicianship, you'll never just like default, and kind of resort to selling out or anything of that nature. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's you got to have fun with it. I take the music industry a little more seriously than I probably should, and it becomes almost like a job more so than something I love to do. And I have to step back sometimes and be like, oh, let's remember why we're doing this. We're getting all stressed out, and
yeah.
this is our dream. So, that's probably my number three. I know those were. I don't know. I don't know if those were the answers you were looking for.
Well, you did a damn
Um,
good job. I think we got a pretty
but
good amount of insight into your psyche.
yeah, and if you have one more, I know you said you skipped a couple, but if you have one more question, feel free to ask. I didn't want to.
Well,
Perfect.
thanks for joining me, and if there's
Yeah,
any little announcements that you want to make before we hop off, feel free to do so now.
yeah. Boy, there are so many. There are so many I want to make, but that's just kind of the sucky part about sitting on a bunch of really cool information is
You
you have to
just
just kind of
can't.
pretend like nothing's going on, and you got to keep people interested and keep people, curious and whatnot, because whenever you do drop those big bombs, you want everyone to see it. But
Exactly.
definitely this month, I know we should. I according to my peeps, we should be dropping the tour announcement. Um, Still finishing booking the dates, but we should be dropping the tour announcement this month, so that should be the big thing to really look out for. And New music is definitely right around the corner, and a ton of awesome announcements that we have just been slaving away to prepare and set up are finally going to be unleashed, and I really think it's going to be the next step for my band. And also, I guess more than anything, thank you and thank to everybody who listens and who follows
Hello,
my
this is
band
Mass
and who
Mutual Insurance.
bought our merch or come to a
I
show
think we
or
can do that.
anything. I mean, I know it seems really generic to say, and it seems like it's almost like a cop out to just say, but it really does mean a lot. You know what I mean? A lot of people, it almost feels like an obligation to say thank you, but really from the bottom of our hearts, that's we wouldn't be able to do this without the support from people like that we talk to and people that listen to us and everything. So we love you guys, and thank you to everybody who just supports what I do and supports what my guys do, and hopefully the album will not disappoint you. We definitely put a lot of time into it, over a year's worth of writing. So yeah,
All right. Well, hopefully, people that are watching on YouTube live right now didn't get too bored at watching me stare at a screen for a moment for like 20 minutes. But all right, that's Daniel Cece.